that first round, I got 0 embryos, and I was so disappointed. It was like just a complete gut punch. I guess because I've always been the kind of person who's like, well, I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to do the best I can, and I'm going to have success. It was such a shock when it didn't work.
Right. The first thing that that really hadn't happened, not easily because you worked little Fanny off, but I'm saying like something this,
Yeah. And I thought, I don't get it. I'm healthy. Mm-hmm. I exercise. I eat right. And I was feeling so bad about myself. And my doctor was like, you have to stop taking this out on yourself. It's nothing that you're doing. You have to remember, women get pregnant in times of war and famine. Stop thinking it's your fault. It's not because, people would say, you're just too stressed out. That's why you can't get pregnant, because it's all you think about. It's like, it's unexplainable why it happens to some women.
Hey, y'all, I'm so excited today on SheMD. I get to interview one of my closest friends, Katie Lee Biegel. She's a co-host of The Kitchen. She's the mom of Iris. She has a new podcast coming out on Dear Media called All on the Table, and she's launching her new wine called Kind of Wild Wines, and I can't wait to have a glass of one of those Kind of Wild Wines and spend time with her. So you're not going to want to miss this. Hi, friend.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here with you.
This is
Thank
crazy.
You for having me.
Okay, I think we need to talk about the fact that some people can see this podcast and some people are listening, but you are an earth mama over there. You have this long flowing hair, these, your beautiful Birkenstocks. I have a dress that basically you can almost see my vagina, and I keep having to pull it down. It's my new dress, but it's not quite what you need for a podcast.
It's so cute, Mary Alice.
I know,
wear that. You rock it.
I am so happy to be here, and I'm so excited about your podcast.
Thank you. I'm really excited about it. It's called All on the Table. We're talking about food and getting to know people through food, their food experiences, nostalgia. I just love to eat, and I love talking about it.
Well, as we know, when I say we, you and I know, I don't cook, and you are the most incredible cook. We have a common theme in our friendship is that we really both love to eat.
We do.
We love to eat, and I love it when you cook and I eat. But so can we kind of go back a little bit? I want to talk about, and we're going to talk about so many things today, but I want to go back to cooking and how did this all begin for you? Because you really have built this empire. You've written so many amazing books. The Kitchen is an incredible hit, and now this podcast. So this wine. I got to hear about the wine.
Yeah. So I grew up in a family that loved to eat. I'm from West Virginia, a little small town, and that was like the highlight of our day was what Grandma was cooking for dinner. And at dinner, we were talking about what we were going to have the next night. So it was just a central theme in our house. My grandpa had an amazing garden that we would cook out of, and it was just all about having even though it maybe wasn't necessarily like health food, it actually was, because there was nothing that was ever coming out of a can. I remember actually being a kid and coming home from a sleepover and being like, they had canned biscuits.
And did you like those canned biscuits?
No.
Yeah.
Everything was from scratch. I was like throwing shade at an early age. My mom would, we'd be at somebody's house and she'd be like, don't bother with the cake. It's a mix. So it was like everything had to be homemade and fresh. And so I never thought of food as a career because I thought that was like a chef in a restaurant, and that wasn't really what I wanted to do. I went off to college and I was a journalism major, but I was working in restaurants, and that was really the time that food started becoming part of pop culture. And I was watching Sex and the City and thinking like, oh, if I could be like Carrie Bradshaw, but write about food instead of about sex, that's
which
what
you did.
I wanted to call it.
That.
Yeah. So, and then it happened. So I'm really one of those people that believes anything can happen.
Yeah, me too.
And, that's life has just kind of unfolded, and I've followed my passion, and it's become a career, which I feel so blessed for.
And then, so we have been friends for a while, and we've sort of seen lots of things happen in our lives. One of the things that I really want to talk about today is you've been very open about your struggles with fertility. You have the most amazing little girl. I mean, a little side note, Katie was thinking about moving to LA, and she brought the baby out. Her amazing husband Ryan is a producer and was on a shoot. And so I said, you're going to come stay with me. You're going to come stay in Iris is maybe 2. I think she was 1.5.
I think she was like 16 months.
Yeah,
she was really little. Really
so
little.
Put her back in the guest house, and she like downstairs. She had her in the room, the bathroom, quiet. Like we used to do. Close the door so it's quiet. And the next morning, I wake up and Katie's like, "Oh my God, Meryl's like she's shaking." And she had a monitor, which we didn't have when I had my kids. We didn't have a heat monitor. We just had a voice monitor, but you had a heat monitor. And something went wrong with my heat in my house, and it was like 100 degrees in that bathroom. And if you hadn't had that heat monitor, that would have been terrible.
Thank God for the heat monitor. Yeah, I think it got like 90 degrees, and the heat monitor went boop boop boop, and I ran in there.
Yeah, and she's sweating.
She was, of course, didn't even wake up. She was like perfectly fine. And I put her in bed with me. But, when you're a mom, especially when you have a little one, you get so wound up. And I think, like, we don't talk as much about postpartum anxiety. And, like, the anxiety was so real for me when she was really little. I mean, I still feel like I get really anxious about her. Do you still get anxious about your kids?
Yeah, I do. That was real. I almost cooked your child at my house. So you have every right to be anxious about that. No, I think it's totally real. And, mine are 17 and 16, and I, you think about like what could happen, and you can't let yourself do that because they are going to have to. Our job as parents is to let them fly and let them, and really you need to let them. I mean, not this age, she's tiny, but I mean, I'm talking about more of my kids. Is it's so hard to do, but you have to let them make bad choices and fall on their face and all these things that parents aren't really comfortable nowadays doing, right. I think. But I think that because you went through so much to get pregnant. I mean, how many rounds of IVF did you have?
I did 4 rounds.
4. Yeah. I mean, I remember that so clearly.
Yeah, that was, I remember I was trying to get pregnant, and I just thought it would be so easy. And you recommended an acupuncturist in LA that I went to for a while. I was drinking those herbal sludge mixtures.
Most disgusting things.
And then I decided to try IVF. And I remember talking to my doctor, and she was like, you should just do this. Like, why wait? Because they'll tell you to wait. I think it's 6 months of trying. Yeah. And she said, you have the means. You should just go ahead and do this. Because I was doing, how you take your temperature and you can find out when you're ovulating. We realized that my cycle was so short that I didn't have time to do, I don't remember if it's called the luteal phase or whatever it was, is that after ovulation, I didn't have enough days for it to actually take an implant. I would start my period too fast. So it was like a 22-day cycle or something like that. So she recommended to go ahead and try the IVF. And I'm so glad that I just got started with it and didn't keep waiting.
How old were you?
I must have been 37, 38, something like that.
Yeah. And why do you think it took 4?
Well, I just couldn't get any good eggs.
Right.
And I had frozen my eggs when I was 32, and we thawed those, and none of them were good. They were all good eggs of when I froze them, but then when we created embryos, none of them were good.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I don't even think I got any embryos out of that round.
That's just crazy.
And the first time I did it, I thought when I went in and, they'll tell you like, oh, you've got 18 follicles. And I thought, I'm going to have.
That's amazing.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. And then the numbers keep going down and down and down every day when you go in. And it gets really disheartening.
Right.
You're like, what's happening? Why are they all just ticking away? And that first round, I got 0 embryos. And I was so disappointed. It was like just a complete gut punch. I guess because I've always been the kind of person who's like, well, I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to do the best I can, and I'm going to have success. It was such a shock when it didn't work.
Right. The first thing that that really hadn't happen. Not easily because you worked
Yeah,
your little
but
fanny
like,
off. But I'm saying like
it
something
didn't
this,
happen.
yeah.
Yeah. And I thought, I don't get it. I'm healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I exercise. I eat right. And I was feeling so bad about myself. And my doctor was like, you have to stop taking this out on yourself. It's nothing that you're doing. You have to remember women get pregnant in times of war and famine. Stop thinking it's your fault. It's not because, people would say, you're just too stressed out. That's why you can't get pregnant because it's all you think about. It's like, it's unexplainable
Unexplainable.
why it happens to some women.
Yeah.
It's probably unexplainable because we don't do enough research on it.
Right. Well, which is we're trying to shed some light on that here. And I just think, but I think it's awesome women hearing that right now that are trying hard and it's not happening. It took you 4 times.
Yes.
So,
and it's not your fault. And stop thinking it's because you ate something that you shouldn't have. I get so many women who write to me and say, did you do specific diet changes, anything like that? And I mean, of course I tried to support my health with being healthy overall, but I don't think that eating a sweet potato every day is going to make it happen.
Right.
So stop beating yourself up.
And wait, and I'm trying to remember, you had the baby during COVID?
I did, yeah.
I mean, that in itself is insane.
Yeah. So I had one chemical pregnancy from, I think that was my 3rd round of IVF. And
explain what a chemical pregnancy
So
is.
that's when they don't call it a miscarriage because you haven't gotten far. I think it's like around 5 weeks instead of 6.
No
it's before
heartbeat.
heartbeat.
Yeah.
So
I had several of those. I didn't know that's what it was called.
Yeah. So I had gotten pregnant from that round of IVF. And like, again, I was so naive just thinking like, oh, I'm pregnant. It's going to be fine. That I like surprised Ryan. He came home and I had a pizza box and opened it up, with we're having a baby. And like, I just thought it was happening. So I lost that. And I surprisingly was not devastated. Like I was okay. I kind of think I was at the point in that IVF process of feeling like I'm just going to keep at this. And so I went into the 4th one kind of with the attitude like I'm just doing this. If I have to do it 12 times, I'm going to do it. So I got pregnant that time and it was great. Like I had really high HCG numbers. Like it was like, this is happening. The train's leaving the station. But I had crippling anxiety.
Yeah.
Because even though I thought that, I was like, I'm just going for it. I was so nervous, I think, after having that failed chemical pregnancy that this one was going to not work. So I was just riddled with nerves over it. And I thought I was getting ready to go see a therapist over it. And then I got hit with, this was like January 2020. I got hit with the worst case of the flu ever.
And it wasn't COVID?
It wasn't, because I went back and tested for antibodies and it wasn't. But I mean, when I tell you, Mary Alice, I was so sick with the flu, like 2 weeks of just couldn't move with flu. After that, I felt like, okay, if I didn't lose the baby with this, then I'm fine.
She's stuck.
Yeah. And so I had no anxiety after that. It was like that flu actually cured me.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And then COVID started coming around. And I was the one who went and bought like 9,000 rolls of toilet paper because I was afraid. I was already thinking about it, like February 2020. I was wiping everything down. I started driving myself around New York City because I didn't want to get in a car because I was so worried about being pregnant. And then March hit and we were out here in the Hamptons and housed in. And it was the best of times and the worst of times for us. Like Ryan and I had our little cocoon and I loved being pregnant. I had the best pregnancy, just the 2 of us and our dog. And it was like a magic time for us, having this little bubble of being together and not having to go to work. Like I think about how fortunate I was that I was able to do my job from home.
Yeah.
That I never had to miss a single episode of the kitchen, because even when I had her and would have been on maternity leave normally, I was setting up the video and cooking in the kitchen.
News happened at, all the anchors would be at their house. And And was the birth delivery easy?
Very easy, but I had a very hard recovery.
And what happened?
I had an episiotomy. And that was like the one thing that I went in when I went to have a baby that I didn't want. I'm very close with my doctor. I love my OBGYN. I've been going to her for like 18 years. And she knew I didn't want to have one. But when it came to the end, she said, we're going to have to do this. And Iris had her cord wrapped around her neck and she needed to get her out.
Quickly.
And so we did it. And I think had it not been COVID, I probably would have had an easier time because I was living an hour and a half away from the hospital. I really knew that I wasn't healing properly and something was wrong. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't walk. But I chose not to go because I thought, well, I don't want to risk exposure.
Did you look down there and see what was going on?
It looks like a battleground.
Terrible.
Terrible.
I know. I remember looking down there being like,
yeah. And I couldn't figure out how we could drive an hour and a half to the doctor and not breastfeed. And I just couldn't figure it out. And finally, after 5 weeks, I was like, this can't be right. And it was right before I went for my 6-week checkup. And my doctor was so kind. She knew another doctor out here who I went to. And sure enough, I wasn't healing. She had to cauterize it.
That happened to me too. I feel like so much of that I had to get restitched twice. That was so traumatic.
And that's worse than actual childbirth.
It absolutely is. When they put that, when you're already down there feeling that pain, and they stick that first lidocaine needle, and you're like, that was the worst pain I've ever had in my life.
Oh, it was awful. But it fixed it.
I know.
And then I thought, gosh, why didn't I do this weeks ago?
And by the way, while you're doing it, will you just really tighten it up? Will you just really pull it? Tie it off with the bow? But no,
Lord.
So did you have postpartum?
No. I mean, I felt like...
But see, you're the
glorious.
happiest, sweetest, light and sunshine. And I can't, of course you loved pregnancy.
I loved being pregnant. And I loved having that little baby.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But I also didn't have any pressure at that point.
Yeah.
I didn't have to go to work because everybody was staying home. And so I didn't have to leave her. I didn't have to worry about pumping. It just was being home and not having any other interference. So I have to imagine that when you have all the outside pressures, that it's a much different experience.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so crazy when we talk about COVID, and we're so lucky that we were, it was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the best of times because all my kids were home, and it felt, and we were all together, and everybody, there was a really close feeling that everyone had because we were all scared. I mean, nobody knew what was going on. And for you to be able to, because we're Southern, and sometimes when you have a baby, you think you got to show off that baby, and people want to come see the baby, and we're Southern, and we're like, okay, even though you don't really want anybody touching your baby, and but during COVID, you're like, hell no, you're not coming over to my baby. Nobody's gonna get near my baby. So it was about the three of you, and you really had this little cocoon of the family for a while.
It was great. It was a great way to be able to just heal and enjoy having that baby.
What has been the most surprising thing to you about motherhood?
I have been really surprised. Well, gosh, there's so many things, right? Of course, the ability to love, the way that your heart just opens in such a way. But I think the thing that surprised me the most about myself is that I can actually handle a lot more than I ever thought I could. And just the ability to juggle and balance and figure it out. It's moms are superhuman a lot of the times.
Superhuman. It is. It's true. It doesn't matter if you're a working mom. And I say all moms are working moms. But it just is that, it's you got to give time to your husband. You got to give time to your kids. You got to try to, work, whatever that looks like. It's amazing. So, just that you would have that ability. Because it is this crazy love that you just cannot believe
No,
you feel.
you can't believe the love.
Yeah.
I sometimes I wonder if she gets tired of hearing me go, I love you so much.
Nobody gets tired of hearing Katie tell them that they love each other. All right, I need to hear about this wine. So what was the? I know you love to drink wine. Is that what? So
Yes.
tell me what happened.
Okay, so I love my wine. I'm definitely not sober curious.
We just did her podcast where I said I'm sober curious, but I've tried to be sober curious about 15 times. So that's just something that I'm working on.
I love a glass of wine, but I realized after I had Iris, that was when things really changed for me, that even if I had one glass of wine, I felt terrible the next day. I would have like this foggy feeling, bad headache, and I thought, God, I'm tired enough as it is. Now I'm going to have to give up my glass of wine at the end of the night.
Yeah.
And so I started learning more about organic wine, and that it sometimes what makes you feel so bad is all the additives and preservatives that are in wine. If you think about it, alcohol is one of the only consumables that does not require an ingredient list or nutrition facts. They can put up to 70 different additives or preservatives in your wine, and you have no idea. There can be food coloring, flavor enhancers, actually enhancers that make it feel better in your mouth, like all sorts of stuff going in there, and pesticides. And I thought, well, for 20 plus years, I've been concerned about buying organic produce and organic food. Why did I not think about that with my wine?
Yeah.
And I'm buying organic grapes. I almost never buy conventional grapes. Why am I?
Right.
What's the disconnect here? So I made the switch. I started learning more about it, and I felt really passionately about it. Because, I love the social aspect of wine. I love the ritual of wine, kind of like the ritual of having coffee in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not want to give that up. And I think like the food bone and the wine bone are connected too. I want it. I want it all.
Food bone connected to the wine bone.
Totally. So I met my partners, they're brothers, Jordan and Adam Sager, and they've been in the wine business basically their whole lives. Their parents are in wine business. And joined them for Kind of Wild. And so we're organic, we're zero sugar, so that also helps not contribute to the headaches. And I want to eat sugar. I don't want to drink it.
Yeah.
And we don't use harmful additives or preservatives. We're vegan, which I also, before getting into this business, I thought, well, isn't all wine vegan? But wine can actually be filtered through animal products. So through dairy, egg whites, fish bladders. So it can go through, like I talked to somebody who had a dairy allergy and couldn't figure out why every time she had her favorite Pinot Noir, there was a reaction. It was from the wine being filtered through dairy. So that's just another box to check. And we put our nutrition facts on the back, and we put our ingredients on the back. So we're totally transparent.
So I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Many questions about this. I've heard this, and I want to know if this is true, that wine from Europe, like France and Italy, doesn't have all of the things that you were saying, that it's much more pure and organic and no tannins versus the United States.
That's one of those things that people like to say, like that they went to Europe and that they didn't get a hangover. Maybe they were like drinking more water or something, but
I always get a hangover.
So the wine that's in Europe, it's coming here too. But people a lot of times talk about the sulfites, that there might be less sulfites, and people say, oh, they don't use sulfites in Europe. There's definitely sulfites in the wine because raisins have sulfites. It's just naturally there. In fact, if you can have a dried apricot, you can have wine. So it's something like only less than 1% of the population is allergic to sulfites. Now, organic wine has less sulfites, so it is a lower sulfite wine. But the sulfite's probably not what's making you feel bad. It like I said, if you can have the apricot, if you can have ketchup, there's sulfites in that. And there's more sulfites in that one dried apricot than the entire bottle of wine. So you're probably fine. But it's really all the junk. Like, you think about how hard your body's having to work to process all of that. So take it out of the equation, and then it's not going to cause you to have to work as hard. I drink the kind of water. I feel fine the next day.
Really?
I feel totally fine. And Ryan's the same way. Like, I've actually started bringing it when I go to people's houses because I
Well,
want
you
to
gotta
give it to
send me
them.
some,
Yes,
promise.
I should have brought it today. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Do you do both red and white and rosé?
We do red, white, and rosé, and we have a sparkling.
Okay.
And I love the sparkling because it's only about 11.9% alcohol. They're not low alcohol wines, but they're like moderate alcohol.
Okay.
And that makes a difference too. Like if you are thinking like, gosh, I'm drinking this wine, feeling so bad the next day, look at the percentage of alcohol that it is. Like some red wines will be like high 14%. And that's going to make you feel hungover the next day.
And where do y'all make it? Like,
So we're
how do you say it?
globally sourced. So each wine's from somewhere different. Like the Sauvignon Blanc's from South Africa. We've got rosé from south of France.
Katie, this is so exciting.
Yeah,
I
it's
am
great.
so excited
I'm
about this.
so excited about it. And I just love it. And we also try to be really environmentally conscious. Like our bottles are lighter weight bottles. We don't put foil around the top. The labels are made out of sugarcane and hemp so that there's just less of a carbon footprint.
Where can people find it?
So you can order us at kindofwildwines.com.
Okay.
And then we're also in stores now, more and more stores. We're in Total Wine. We're in Sprouts.
Okay.
Hopefully moving into some of the bigger grocery stores soon. And then a lot of small retailers.
Okay, great. Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Thank you. It's been, doing a product. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of like getting out there and just I like going and pouring and letting people taste it.
Yeah, but it's just, again, it's your passion and you
Yeah.
love it. So
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna make it fabulous. I'm
I
so
hope so.
excited. I love it. So I'm gonna ask you some questions. Okay. What is your favorite restaurant?
Ooh, that's a good one. Like anywhere or in New York?
Anywhere.
Anywhere. Well, my number one has to be Los Scolio. I mean, that's my number one.
That's where you got married.
Yeah, we got married there. We were just there last month, and it's in Italy. And Mary Alice, you know how great it is.
It's
like
so great.
the best food in the world. Yeah.
It is. Okay, that's a good one.
Super fresh.
Your favorite health hack?
Ooh, don't underestimate the power of going to bed early. I am always the first one to leave a party because
Another thing that we have in common.
yeah, I want to go to bed.
Yeah.
And I know that if I stay up late, I'm going to feel like crap the next day.
Yeah.
And so sleep.
I'm a big sleeper too. And it's proven again and again and again. It's literally so important that you have great sleep habits and that you get enough sleep.
Yeah.
So I love that one. Favorite book?
Oh, favorite book. I'm really into this summer. I read Anita Demonte Laughs Last. I can barely say it. It was great.
Okay,
I couldn't
good.
put that one down.
I'm going to read that. I need books. I'm constantly trying to get people to recommend good books. That's
I
the way I
love
go
a
to
good
sleep is
book.
reading a book.
Oh, that's so healthy instead of looking at your phone.
Yeah. No. We don't have a TV in our room. Like I try to have good sleep habits.
I need to get rid of the TV in the room.
Yeah.
I love to lay in bed and watch TV. But
by the way, I do too, and I know that would suck the romance out because I would literally he'd be like trying to have sex, and I'm watching The Bear.
Oh, at nighttime, I'm like, don't touch me. I'm too tired.
Okay, favorite piece of a cooking item. So something that if you had to have one thing on an island to use cooking, what would that be?
Ooh. Well, you got to have a good sharp knife.
Okay.
The knife is definitely important. And then I'd probably have a good cast iron skillet.
So what brands? Anything?
I use Lodge. I like the Lodge cast iron skillets. So you can make just about anything in that. That's the West Virginia coming out.
I love it. Favorite beauty product?
Favorite beauty product. I use Biossance face cream a lot. I really like that. It's a all natural brand. And then I'm obsessed with the Revlon Super Lustrous lip glosses. I have probably 20 of them. Those are like my number one go-to.
I'm going to get those too. If you were going to create a dinner party and you could invite anybody past, future, present, ever in the world, who would those 5 people be?
You know what? I would go back when I was a kid. It's sitting around at my grandma's, and it was my grandma and grandpa, my great uncle Larry, my great aunt Pat, my cousins, my mom, her brothers. I would go back and do that again because most of those people are gone now, the older generation. And we had so much fun, and I'd give anything to be back in that kitchen like that again.
I know. It's so funny. I think about this with my dad being so sick, and you've met my
You have
sweet
such
daddy.
wonderful parents.
They're the best. And I think people always say, about your kids, they say, pay attention, like this is fleeting, and it is so true. Now that I have men, these 16 and 17-year-old boys that are, about to fly the coop, but people don't tell you that enough about your parents. They don't say that, hey, pay attention to these moments with your parents because they're not going to always be there. And I took that so for granted that they were always going to be around in the capacity that they'd always been there for me. And it has been heartbreaking. So I think that's something that I'm now really telling people that. I'm saying, pay attention to your kids, but really pay attention to your parents because they are not going to be there in the same way, or they might not be there at all. Okay. What is one person or one thing or one moment in time that changed the direction of your life? If you could think
I know exactly when my life changed. That was when I met my ex-husband. I can pinpoint the moment that I have no idea what my life would have been like if I didn't meet my ex-husband, because everything changed in that moment to be such
and just so that everybody knows, her ex-husband is Billy Joel.
Yeah.
It's not just some random guy that she met.
Yeah, I mean...
Wait, tell the story, because I think this is actually you were really young.
I was 21.
Yeah.
I had come to New York to look at the French Culinary Institute. I wanted to go to school there. And I was with my college roommate, and somebody had told us you should go to the Peninsula Hotel. They have a great rooftop. And so we were there, and I was coming out of the bathroom and futzing in my purse and literally bumped into him. And
did you know who he was?
No, I wasn't like a fan or anything. I thought he did Uptown Girl and Piano Man. That was it. Yeah. And my friend said, "Oh my gosh, Billy Joel, we're going to the bar if you want to join us for a drink."
Billy Joel!
So forward of her. And 20 minutes later, there he was. And we went to dinner that night. He took us to, he had a Broadway show at the time. He took us to that. But everything
you're
changed.
Coming from West Virginia.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to put this into
I was a real small town girl.
Yeah.
And that changed the course of my life so drastically. I have absolutely no idea what I would be doing, because it was so different from what I was experiencing and so out of the realm of what normal reality is. Mm-hmm. And it changed everything. And I love him dearly. He's still a friend, and I consider him my family for life, but he changed my life.
We talk about this sometimes. We're both on our second marriage and love our first husbands. Mm-hmm. We have such love for them. But I definitely think that I took things from my first marriage that really makes my second marriage work in a way that my first didn't. Definitely. What do you think you learned from your first, or what could you take from that you've brought to your amazing relationship now with Ryan?
Really so much. I look back at how much I learned, and being able to recognize my own faults and what I could have done differently. And I think about really listening to the other person, being willing to meet in the middle. And to be able to make compromises for somebody else. Mm-hmm. I think that's so important to just really hear out the other person and what it is that they need. And even if it's something maybe you don't want to do, you meet your spouse where they need you. And of course they have to reciprocate it too. Yeah. I think Bill and I were both kind of in a period of our lives of being stubborn and not having that meet in the middle. Mm-hmm. It's wanting to be the one who wins, and it's what really is winning? Winning is having that great relationship and being able to compromise.
I love that. He's so talented.
Incredible.
So, crazily, he lives next door to my parents in Palm Beach.
Oh my God, that's right.
It's so crazy. We have such 6 degrees of all this craziness.
We were destined to be friends.
at that spa when we ate, when
Yes.
everybody else was literally starving. And we knew that's it. This is it. Well, I'm so thankful that you came today. Your new podcast is called All on the Table. It's out August 8th. And I can't tell you how excited I am to listen to it and just to be able to have Katie Lee in my ear as much as possible, because I love you and you just are the best.
I love you, Mary Alice. I love SheMD. I mean, you're having such important conversations. I'm so honored to be on your podcast. I mean, you have amazing women, and you really like make people think. You know, I've listened to some of them, and like when you had Olivia Munn on, and I got on and calculated my breast cancer risk.
Okay,
Yes,
good. Hopefully, I mean, that was another thing that Thais really, she wants to make sure that every woman knows their lifetime risk of breast cancer so that we can be armed with the knowledge. And that's what we talked about earlier. Well, I love you. Thank you.
I love you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Mwah. Thanks so much for joining us today on SheMD. If you want to own your health, a good place to start is by following us on social media at SheMD Podcast and by subscribing to our show on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. For takeaways from today's episode, visit our website, shemdpodcast.com. We'll see you next time on SheMD. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute for a physician's medical advice. You should regularly consult your medical provider in matters relating to your own health. Even though we share our honest beliefs on SheMD, some of the products and services we discuss may involve sponsorships or paid advertising.